All board members are present. Item 1B, approval of the agenda. First by Heather. Any questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
Aye.
Second by Aubrey. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 2, informational items. A, spotlight report, and just in case I forget, in case folks are here for a certain portion of this next part of the agenda, you're free to leave at any time. I don't want people to think they're trapped.
Board members, guests, I think everyone's aware that in the early morning hours of August 30th, one of our school buses suddenly burst into flames without warning. It's actually our newest bus. The bus had not been started and the key was in the off position. Due to a faulty connection at the starter, due to a bent terminal, the bus did start and caught on fire. Chris Shadler immediately began removing relays from the electrical panel, eventually cutting power to the engine so it would shut down. As a result of Mr. Shadler's quick action, damage to the bus was limited to the engine starter area and no other buses were damaged. Robbie Ratliff, Steve Shadler, and Mark Eastham also jumped into action with fire extinguishers and put out the fire. Thanks to their quick action, no other buses were damaged and no one was injured. So, gentlemen, I just wanted to, on behalf of the board, thank you for your quick action. We're, of course, first and foremost glad nobody got hurt, but just wanted to thank you for taking action. That's a heck of a way to start the day at 5:45 in the morning. So I had just a little something for each of you. If you want to come up, we'll get a picture. And just wanted to thank you for your actions. Thank you. This one. Thanks, man. Thank you.
Moving into item 2A, number 2, Quest.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Bayer, and I teach social studies at the high school, and I'm one of the Quest sponsors. This past summer, we went to Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and had Luke Hayden and Emma Messer, two of our students that we took, and they're going to tell you a little bit about our trip. I just want to say on behalf of the chaperones, thank you very much for supporting this program. It's a blessing to us as chaperones as well as to the students.
So, the biggest thing I can talk about is throughout this entire program, you're told there's nothing else like this. And it's one of those things you hear so many times, you're like, okay, yeah, there's nothing like this, just back your mind. Well, this year I got to go to GSP, Governor's College Program, and during this time I got to see the best students, the best programs in Kentucky. And it is true, there is nothing else like this. To be able to not only have this in-depth research of your own choice and to go see it of your own choice is so different. Even like these other stellar students don't get their choices. They have to fit into their categories that the school assigns. They don't have as much leeway. So that's just an amazing thing. Thank you for the programs because you will allow us to do this amazing thing.
I guess, yes, I would also say the same thing. There is nothing like this program. Personally for me, under my circumstances, I just never thought that I would be able to have the experience of travel as a teenager. This trip was my first time on a plane, my first time on a boat. It was just really incredible to get to experience this, and even though I wasn't with family, I was with the advisors and the students, and it was just really accommodating, and everyone was really kind-hearted. So I guess, besides thanking you guys for giving us the opportunity to participate in this program, I also want to thank our advisors for doing this. Again, thank you so much. This is really important to children who might not have the privilege of getting to go on vacations casually. So thank you for allowing me and other students that serve this to run this experience.
Thank you very much. Moving on the agenda, item 2D, audit of citizens, we have time. Item 2C, principals, BCC, bridge report. Did everyone have a chance to read the documents? Do you have any questions? If anybody wants to know specifics, you know, come up with specific questions.
No, on the, for the high school, I forget what the text program was. Love the idea. Is that, have we seen that anywhere else with any other districts? Has that worked well, or is it kind of new?
We're new locally here. It has been adopted in a lot of big districts, a lot of districts across the country. We stuck our foot into the paid Remind, but everybody already had a Remind through their church group, their youth group, and it just really created a lot of problems. So found this new program, did the research, working with the tech team to get that set up right now. And then they have a phased rollout that they recommend. So we'll send out the PR about that. But super excited. We'll work a lot like the similarities of Dojo, but a lot more age appropriate for high school kids.
Yeah, but more strictly through text.
Text messaging, yeah. So as a parent, if you just want the basic text messages, you'll just get text messages. If you download the app and get it installed in the app, your notifications will switch to the app. But for me, the biggest thing is there's no sign up, there's no code to join. We have your number from Infinite Campus, you'll get a text message. Because that's where we lose people, is when they have to take that step to get involved. So they will just, the night we roll it out, the parent guardians, designated as guardians in Infinite Campus, will get a message from the system.
I like it because same way between all the Remind stuff, between church organizations, this and that, and then Dojo. I'll be honest with you, half the time I see a Dojo and I don't even open it. You get so many, you just can't open them for every Fall Fest alert and this, and then you wonder, am I missing something that I really need to be seeing in that? So I think I'm excited to see where this goes.
I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. So the bridge program looks like great progress continues there. I saw that we've got one student that's close. Is there an update on that at all?
Yep, they crossed the finish line just today.
Awesome.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. And then the other one was in intermediate school with the MAP scores. I think there was a program called
Reveal?
Reveal?
Yes.
Just, is there more information on that, or how we think that will work where other programs may not have worked in the past?
It's just more robust. So we went through the same process a couple years ago when we adopted our ELA program, and we've seen some pretty good results out of that. But like any program you adopt, as years go on, you kind of start falling off from doing that. So it had been a long time since we've had a math adoption. So Ms. Cook actually led the process. We learned through the ELA program to vet a really great product. And really it's kind of centralizing, 4th all the way through 8th grade on their math curriculum, where I was talking with a couple math teachers today after school. We have follow-up meetings to make sure we're implementing well. And that was one of the things that they said was, I was kind of pulling from here and then I was pulling from here. I think that's just the natural progression that happens over time when you're using a curriculum. You just kind of fall off, you find different stuff, and you end up piecemealing some things together. It's been a really long time since we've done it, so it's bringing us back into a program that's well vetted. It was very highly rated on ed reports. All of our teachers at, the intermediate teachers as well as the middle school math teachers went through multiple programs to really kind of dig in and look at what's going to be the best product. So I'm extremely optimistic about the results that we're going to get from that. And our teachers are excited about it too.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Next up on the agenda, item 2D is the attendance and enrollment report.
month one, about the middle of September, and we're moving right along there. You can see our enrollment. So if you kind of go from end of the school year last year to present day, we're down about 13 kids at this point. But as we usually say, as the preschool numbers continue to climb and kids kind of trickle in and enroll in, I would imagine that number will slowly creep back up to where we were towards the end of the year last year. Overall, our attendance percentage above 96, that's fantastic. That's a great number for any month, so we're looking very good there. We had a couple of really good days here lately. I'll just comment on our middle school was it over 98% today, just for an example. That has and is kind of rare, has been and is kind of rare. Our elementary school was above 97 yesterday, so we've had some really good days here and there, but most of the time it's kind of hovering right in that 95 to 96 zone, which is fantastic. So off to a good start. Great. Oh, and
There's the trophy.
I would be remiss if I didn't say, the elementary takes the individual monthly trophy home. So congratulations. Congratulations to everybody. It was a slim margin, but elementary, there you go. Congrats.
Thank you. Moving along, item 2E, construction report. Did everyone have a chance to read the construction report?
Our longest that I've seen in a while. Somebody's been busy.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of good progress.
Yeah.
The intermediate schools really starting to take shape and look like an actual building that the students in.
Yeah, it was thanks for the picture on that. That was nice to see. I don't know why that gymnasium, I mean, my goodness, that's big.
Yeah, it looks massive.
It looks empty with nothing in
Yeah, maybe that's it, no bleachers or anything in it. It's just
it.
like, wow.
We're getting ready to put all the boards in there now, all the flooring boards.
Yeah.
And acclimate, so we had to clear everything out. But
So you said, they've got to kind of set and get used to the temperature, get used to it, and then,
they install.
Thank you. Moving along, item 2F, superintendent non-work days. Did everyone have a chance to see that? Questions? Item 2G, personnel. Everyone take a look at that. Item 2H, other.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank our principals. I'm really proud of how you all are communicating with each other and working together as a team. I've seen multiple instances where one of you has jumped in and helped the others, and I'm very proud of how you're working together as a team. And I'm also really proud of how you're setting expectations with our staff and our kids. Everything from behavior to academics to coming to school on time, all of those things. And it's not just setting those expectations, it's supporting people, supporting our teachers, giving them the support and the help that they need so they can be most effective in the classroom. And I hesitate to say this, but I'll just say we've had a good start to the school year, minus a few hiccups, and that in large part is due to how well you're doing communicating with your staff, setting those expectations and so on. So I just want to take a moment to thank our principals. I'm really proud of you guys, how you're doing so far. That's all I have.
Does anyone else have anything for other?
wonderful start of the year. There's a lot to even see that personnel report down like that. I know how hard everybody's worked on that. And it's an exciting time. Very well done.
Item 3, recommended board motions. 3A, approval of the minutes September 12th, 2024. This is an action item.
I'll make it.
First by Heather, questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jamie, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3B, approval of superintendent's expense report.
I'll make it.
First by Aubrey, questions or discussion? second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3C, approval of pay application 20 for Morel Construction, Walton Road Intermediate School.
I'll make it.
First by Megan, questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jamie, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3D, approval of bid documents for Walton Library District Office renovation.
I'll make it.
First by Jamie, questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Aubrey, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3E, approval of BG2 and BG3 for Walton Library District Office renovation. Do we have a motion?
I'll make it.
First by Megan, questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Aubrey, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3F, approval of the treasurer's report. First by Jamie, questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3G, approval of the order of the treasurer for bills.
I'll make it.
First by Heather, questions or discussion? Do we have a second? Second by Jamie, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3H, approval of working budget for 2024-2025. First by Heather, questions,
Just
discussion?
gonna go briefly, if,
A lot of big numbers. A lot of moving around.
so, there was a lot of big numbers agreed. There was only a slight change though from the tentative budget. We're up about $26,000, and I added that, to recoup that in interest, so you can see in the miscellaneous, income section, that went up just a little bit from what it was at the tentative. And then the only real changes, we had some, operations costs, like, we increased the fuel budget a little bit. Just kind of market conditions, we were starting to creep up towards the budget number that we had. So give us enough breathing room there. And then we had a teacher, at the intermediate school that we had planned to be, out of the general fund, and we're using Title I funds for most of her salary, so that moved out, and I added that money in services, things that we pay, district-wide. A big one is, for our tax collections, pay 2% back to the sheriff, and, as that number, kind of drives up the, what we take in income, that increases as well. So those are really the only big changes. Down at the bottom, you can see contingency still just a hair over 4%, which is fine. And then personnel expenses, percentage of the overall budget excluding contingency, went down just a little bit from the tentative budget, just because of that change that we just talked about. So no surprises. We didn't have any added positions this year. Sometimes we have that after school starts. So there weren't any kind of wild changes, just fluctuations with what we budgeted for staff and what they ended up actually costing. So.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just got one quick one. I just want to make sure that I'm right. So you have on here for student transportation decreased bus budget for purchase of one bus, because that comes out of general fund. So you moved it to general, that money to the general fund?
So that is still in the general fund. So that was a decrease from last year. We had initially in the 24 budget, we had remember we bought 2 buses?
Right.
So we had that in there and roll it back to cover just 1 bus plus, some parts, if we had this year. So that whatever the number was for 2, it rolled back, then rolled back completely to like the one that we're getting ready to look at here. But so that money, just kind of got reabsorbed in the budget when we were working that all the way back to the draft, because we knew we were only on our typical bus purchase every year is one.
Right.
And then, Mr. Shaver, like once every 5 years or 6 years, we may have to buy two, just kind of depends on what's going on with like the special ed bus and that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'm gonna get
Second by Megan. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3I, approval of disposal of items on the fall 2024 surplus list. Who here first? First by Jamie. Questions or discussion?
We'll advertise, we'll put these out on the website and kind of send out an email to staff. We haven't been running it in the paper just because it's not, we have never really had a lot of value out of that. And it's always people that kind of work here typically that are interested in those things. And then at the next meeting, we'll have bids taken at the next meeting. We'll ask you to approve the results.
Any other questions? Do we have a second? Second by Aubrey. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3J, approval of job descriptions.
I'll make that.
First by Heather. Questions or discussion?
No, thank you guys for the work that you guys did on that. I know it was a lot.
I'll pass it
Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Megan. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3K, approval of KEPS fiscal year 24 technology activity report.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Questions? Do we have a second? Second by Aubrey. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3L, approval for Rob Hartman as board representative for Certified Evaluation Plan Appeals Committee. I'll make it. Motion by Jamie. Rob, I assume you accept this honor?
I do.
Any questions or discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather. All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Congratulations.
Item 3F, approval of Caitlin Gottschall as alternate board representative for Certified Evaluation Plan Appeals Committee.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. I assume you will also accept this?
Only because Rob is looking at me right now.
A little bit of peer
Yes,
pressure.
I accept.
Excellent, excellent. Do we have a second? Second by Aubrey. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3F, approval of Walton Verona Schools 2024 service contract for speech therapy services.
I'll make it.
First by Megan. Any questions or discussion? Do we have a second? I'll second. Second by Jamie. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3O, approval of fiscal year 25 school bus purchase authorization.
I'll make it.
First by Megan. Questions or discussion?
Kind of goes without saying, considering the latest incident, is there things we should be looking at? Not, are we going with the same company? Are
One
we,
that doesn't catch on fire.
are we good?
So we are buying from the same company who has recently redesigned the type of buses that will purchase a conventional model. Going back to what happened on the morning of the 30th, the engine manufacturer Cummins International receives those engines as like a crate motor with the starter already installed. Cummins is one of the most popular brands engines in the medium to heavy duty industry. So it necessarily wasn't their issue, but more of a fluke for Cummins. I don't suspect to have any issues like that.
Yeah, I mean, in all seriousness aside, as you guys should have been recognized the way that we did tonight, but thank God it happened the way that it did, and those students were on that bus, so I mean, I would just want to make sure that we've done all due diligence. I mean, because that onus then lies on us. If this happens, you know, it's happened once, right? And then if we're going to chalk it up to a fluke, we chalk it up to a fluke. But when it comes to the safety of these kids and you know, this district, the staff, and bus driver would have been driving, the kids would have been on that, we'd be having a different conversation right now. So I don't know. I would just want to make sure that we've done our serious due diligence here, and I don't know. Rather than chalking it up as a fluke, I would just want to make sure that we're, you know, that's your world, that's your, you know, so I trust that you've done that. But man, I don't know. I don't know what that market looks like. I don't know what competition's out there. I don't know if we've had, you know, success in the past, and we are just saying that, okay, this is definitely, we feel very confident that this was a one-off, but I don't want to be having a different conversation in a month, 6 months, after we get a new bus, and then and I know nobody wants that. I know you don't want that either, but I don't know. I just, when I look at this stuff, I was reading through, and, you know, I might as well be, you know, back in Miss Thompson's Spanish class. This stuff, I don't know what half of this stuff means, you know, so I would trust that we're doing it.
So I'll add to your reminding, I totally agree. It is the best bus fire, school bus fire we could have imagined, you know. As chairman of the specification committee at the Department of Education, you know, nobody takes this more serious than we do. You know, we're the ones that are procuring the buses for the entire state of Kentucky. IC Bus is the largest producer of school buses in the nation, has been for several years. So they were well aware of the issue. We had to tow to the dealer. They were in touch with IC Corporation. They sent an engineer out, and then that, on their inspection, found the issue with the connector of the starter. So they were going to run some additional testing after that, just to kind of verify things and remedy all of the relays and electronic components that I ripped out of it. But I trust that they have reviewed and inspected. Typically, with school bus fires, it's usually associated with some type of fuel leak. So, you know, to chalk it up as a fluke, you know, one bent terminal, you know, we use the bus in question for summer school transportation. You know, one of the first things we do with the new bus is get it on the road as soon as we can, so that, especially in the summertime, if we can work out any kinks, get it taken care of before we're ready to roll and start the school year. No issues at all. Bus drove great. And then to start the school year, we haven't had any issues with it either. So,
So we haven't heard any stories from any other districts that purchased it, but that's fair. And just, you know, making sure that the due diligence is paid in yours.
if I wasn't confident in the safety of the buses that I bring to the board, then I wouldn't buy them.
Two things for me, like one, this really drives home the importance of those bus evacuation drills. Like, people don't take those very seriously, but I think this is like, drives home, like, this can happen anywhere. You can be sitting at a stop and idling and something like this happen. And then the other thing, again, is just, I didn't want to interrupt during the presentation earlier, but so thankful that you were there. Like, we've got somebody on staff here that has, you know, school buses in their DNA is what I think about. Like, you know, you're fantastic. I don't know that anybody else could have just reacted quickly and said, I'm just going to pop out these relays and stop this fire. So that's fantastic. I'm glad that you were there. Thankful for that. Thankful that we've got a staff that can, like, react quickly to those things.
Absolutely.
Second that. That's, yeah.
It was quite the experience.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So my only question is, I know, like, we had that one bus that had the light up that said school bus. Is this bus going to have that? Are they equipping all buses now with that
Yes.
illumination?
Yes, so at our specification meeting in February of this year, after a presentation from myself, some findings that we came up with, you know, I ran a 6-week test period on those first 2 buses we had. And at some point, as we get into the darker months of the year, I'll have one of those buses that I think we've talked about doing a spotlight report on that. But yes, the committee for the specification, every new bus will come with that from now on. Standard equipment. And the safety.
Nice. Because it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Did we get all of our buses? We
Yes.
had to.
We added it, we have retrofitted every bus that we could in our fleet, with the exception of, I believe, 5 of them that are so old that, like, the roof cap design is different from the newer ones, and the company that produces those signs is not making them because they're so obsolete.
Mhm. Nice. Good. Thank you.
Do we have a second? Second by Heather. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. I did not remember.
I didn't write it down, I remember.
Yeah, I did too. All right, item 3P, approval of Walton Merriman Elementary School fall fundraisers.
I'll make it.
First by Heather, questions or discussion? It's very festive. Do we have a second? I'll second. Second by Jamie, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3Q, approval for graduation date, which is Thursday, May 29th, 2025.
I'll make it.
First by Megan. Questions or discussion?
It's weird setting it so early.
We have.
But I did want to
It's
have you do
progressive.
it.
Yeah, we have 10 NTI days at our disposal if needed, so I feel confident we can do this now, get the contract with the church signed and move forward.
And I know, separate, similar conversation, and I know this isn't probably this year, maybe even next, but I just don't want us to forget that at some point we may, at what point do we outgrow that church, in terms of graduation? So I feel like that's maybe a 5-year plus down the road, but still,
Our largest class in the district right now are 6th graders, so we're still a few years away, but I think that group right now is 60 plus, so.
Do we have a second? Second by Jamie, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3R, approval of driver agreement for board-owned vehicle, S. Raniero, T. Richardson.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Aubrey, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 3S, approval field trips.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Questions or discussion?
a lot of interesting field trips on here, and I like to see, I guess this is part of some of the new programs with, I think, the sports marketing, and I think there's another one on there, so some of those trips look really interesting. So, and I had seen that with the new, I thought some of the new programs were interesting all themselves, especially all the rock and roll and the guitar and all of that. So to see some of these field trips to sports marketing, and I thought that was neat. So I look forward to seeing how those goes. It looks like between Great American Ballpark and then the FCC, I think one of them was a panel, sports marketing panel maybe. So will they be talking to, I guess, some of the folks at wherever that is and kind of
Participating is yes in that. I mean, that's a real world experience for the kids, you know, to have the high school kids sit in on that discussion. I mean, that's top notch.
Yeah, I agree. That definitely caught my eye. I mean, I love the Dinsmore, and I love the elementary field trip, but to see some of this stuff at the high school level, some of these trips, I thought are very unique. I love them.
And we can have some of those groups come in and do a spotlight on you in the future, share with you what they learned.
Yeah, I think it would be great to hear the two students that spoke earlier were very well spoken, and I like it, and I think that's a great experience for them.
I mean, in this day's world, a 21-year-old kid can be the sports marketing director for a minor league baseball team or a farm league team and get their shoe in the door. A couple portfolio exhibits later, you never know where they'll be.
Yeah, that's exactly. I see it in my world. I see it with having those guys as customers. It's a very young, I mean, right, 20, 21-year-olds, and so I think it's a great idea. I love it.
Do we have a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Megan. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. All been ready. Item 3T, adjournment.
No, we did.
First by Davey. Questions? Do we have a second? Second by Heather. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned.